everybody. How you doing? All right, that's cool. I can't hear you, but that's cool anyway, all right? My name is Stuart Schlossman, president and founder of MS Views and News. You are here tonight for a program that we call MS Conversations Now, Patients' Voices. The whole reason for this is that, we want you all to hear from other MS patients and what they're doing in life, what they're doing to benefit those with multiple sclerosis one way or another. And we want to let you know that tonight's program is supported by MS Views and News, okay? And we're doing this, again, for all of you. All right, so tonight's guests, we have Kristine Werner. Kristine is Secretary, Board of Trustees at the National Multiple Sclerosis Society. We'll hear more from Kristine in a short while. And then we have Brian Gorsich. He's a volunteer team leader for the National MS Society. And again, we'll hear from Brian as well. All right. Now, also, there were people when they were registering who were putting in their questions specifically with MS-related questions that only a doctor can answer. I'm not a doctor. Brian's not a doctor that I know about. Kristine's not a doctor that I know about. All right. So none of us are qualified to answer those questions. And we're not going to get into anything about COVID as far as medically related. We will talk about it, but we're going to talk about it from patients' perspectives. Okay. So we're going to get started now. And we're going to get started. All right. But we look forward to hearing from you. So I do hope to get your questions. And for now, let's start with Kristine. Hey, Kristine, thanks for being here. Right. So Kristine, can you start us off by just giving us a brief intro about yourself?
Sure. And I'd like to thank you for inviting me to come. It's such an honor and a pleasure to be here with you and everybody this evening. Like Stuart said, my name is Kristine Werner. I live in Flowery Branch, Georgia, which is about an hour north of Atlanta. I was diagnosed with MS in 2012. I saw a neurologist for about 5 years prior to receiving my MS diagnosis. After going through the 5 years of imaging, different testing, I finally received a diagnosis at the Shepherd Center in Atlanta with Dr. Ben Thrower. Who's been my doctor for the past 9 years. So that's just a little bit of background about me and my diagnosis.
Great, thank you for that. Brian, your turn.
Let's see. Brian Gorsich. I was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis in 1999. We did a little timeline and we tracked it all the way back to my teen years. So this has been a monkey on my back for all of my life, I would think, the most part. But I was diagnosed down in Oklahoma City, Oklahoma. And that's where I first came into touch with the MS Society. And it was what I thought was alcohol poisoning from a night of hard drinking, actually, Stuart. And woke up the next morning and I was still having problems walking and numbness and tingling all over the body, and went to the emergency room. And fortunately, there was a neurologist on call that did some basic neurological tests and said, I think you have MS. And that's when my journey began. And it's been a roller coaster ride.
Okay, thank you for that. So before we get into a lot of these things about multiple sclerosis, I'd like to know what you both did prior to your lives with MS. All right. I don't know how long ago specifically you started getting involved with the different things that you do with the National MS Society. But Kristine, can you tell us what you were doing before this new journey began?
Sure. So I was a college athlete. I went to college on a tennis scholarship. I went to graduate school, and during graduate school, I coached a women's tennis team. And then I began a career in information technology. I worked for a couple different healthcare information technology companies. And then I wound up working at Hewlett Packard, which is where I retired medically in 2015. And I worked in software research and development, and I had a global role. I got to travel the world. I had teams in India and China, Ireland, all over the US. And I loved my job. I loved my career. I planned on having a long career at Hewlett Packard. I actually wanted to retire from HP. And when I was told it was, time for me to end my career, it was a huge change in my life. And I kind of had like a big identity crisis, who was I going to be, without my career?
Sure. But look what you did. I mean, we can't wait to hear what you did. All right. I mean, you got past the doldrums that you had and you built something really nice, but we'll get into that in a little bit. All right, Brian, your turn. Go ahead. Same question.
And what was that question, Stuart?
The question was, what did you do previously? I have bad memory, all right, but you're not going to get me. I wrote it down. I do know where I'm at.
You knew I was going to test you. Okay.
That's right.
I was in the coin machine business for 20 plus years. Started out as a route man collecting the quarters off the video games and the jukeboxes, and worked my way up, worked for a manufacturing company in Tennessee. And one of my customers was in Dallas, Texas, and I was calling on them at the time. And there was a new company came out on the market called TouchTune. They were the first ones out with the digitally downloadable jukeboxes, and Bose was the manufacturer of the sound system. And we handled all the music licensing and telecommunications and technical support for all the operators out on the streets. And then, like I said, there was a party at the pool, and there happened to be a jukebox there, and a lot of alcohol was consumed, a lot of sun. So the next morning, the hard, staggering walking was still going on, and numbness, and a lot of balance issues, and that's when my career ended, and my MS career began.
See, another good blessing. Another good blessing for many out there. Okay.
That's right.
I'm sure the people in Central Illinois love that you joined the ranks. Okay, and that you put it all you put it all in. All right. So let me go on with another question here. All right, Kristine, how did you get involved with the National Multiple Sclerosis Society? I mean, what first led you there, and what was it that drew you in?
So I literally went home after the day I received my diagnosis, and I needed to do something. I didn't know what that something was going to be, but I needed to do something. And I went to the National MS Society website, and I didn't even know what I was looking for exactly. And I saw that in 2 weeks there was going to be a walk in my area, and I said, "Well, I'm gonna do this." And I registered, and my mom and my sister joined me. And in 2 weeks, I raised enough money to be number 100 out of the top 100 fundraisers.
Good.
And then I heard about MS leadership class, and I was still working, and leadership was something I was doing, and leadership is something that I love. And so I decided to do MS leadership class, and I graduated from that with Hall of Fame honors. During MS leadership class, I did another walk. I volunteered at Bike. I did MS Service Day. And then I just continued into, doing walk every year. I did Challenge Walk a couple times, which is a 3-day, 50-mile walk, raising money. And then when I was taken out of work in 2015, I still continued, to volunteer. And then it was about 3 or 4 years ago, I received an email from the society asking stories from people if they had a story about step therapy, if their insurance company had made them go through step therapy for a medication that their doctor had prescribed. Step therapy is otherwise known as Feel First therapy. And it was kind of one of those divine, intervention moments, because I literally had just been through step therapy and fought this with my insurance company. And so I wrote back with my story, and the advocacy manager called me immediately and talked with me. And it wasn't but a couple weeks later, my very first thing I did with advocacy was testify at the Georgia State Capitol for step therapy legislation. I then proceeded to chair our Government Relations Advisory Committee for 2 sessions. I testified for our low THC oil legislation, our pharmaceutical benefit manager legislation. This session, I gave written testimony for our prior authorization legislation. I was thrilled and honored to attend 2 public policy conferences in Washington, D.C., where I got to meet with our federal lawmakers and tell my story. I received the District Activist Leader of the Year award in 2020. And I was so honored when I was asked to join the Board of Trustees, and have since taken on an officer role. And so that's just kind of how it all.
Did you make a list? Did you have a list in front of you to say all of that?
No.
I don't know how you remember all that.
Holy moly.
Right. Brian, you got a tough act to follow here. What are you going to tell us?
I'm telling you what, that's pretty tough.
Brian is wonderful in his own right. And I mean, Brian and I just kind of met through both being passionate about the community, and that's how we crossed paths, really. And even though we don't live in the same state, we've
get to that yet, though.
known each other. Yeah.
I didn't get to that yet. All right.
I'm sorry. I'm getting ahead on the question.
Getting ahead. Yes. Brian, can you remember the question that got us started on all this?
No, I got to turn back 3 chapters. That's a whopper.
Well, how did you get involved with, by the way, for everybody that's online, this program tonight is about these 2 people that are advocates for the National Multiple Sclerosis Society. They are both patients. Okay. And that's what I wanted to address with them, which is why you're hearing about MS Society. All right. So Brian, how did you get involved with the National MS Society? What drew you in to getting to their doorstep?
Well, multiple sclerosis is a pretty big drawing card for that,
Right.
So, but besides that, I had a cousin of mine that was in the military and had to retire from the military due to multiple sclerosis. So when I was a young lad, I did a little benefit for him in Tulsa, Oklahoma. And then I kind of crawled under a rock for several years and didn't really want to participate in much of what was going on with life, and was taking 23 different prescribed medications daily, disease-modifying drugs, weekly IV steroids. And it was on November 13th, it was an F4 tornado that changed my life, and decided that I have the brand of multiple sclerosis. I might as well wear the brand with pride and help as many people as I can along the way. Now, Stuart, our home was destroyed by an F4 tornado. We had our stuff scattered all over this community, and it was not one, not two, not 10, but hundreds, if not 500, if not 1,000 volunteers converged on our property, shoulder to shoulder, and showed me I still had a purpose. And that purpose was to help my brothers and sisters with multiple sclerosis.
Wow.
So the society had a support group seminar here in Peoria, and it's kind of been in a lull for a while down here as far as support. And I sat through this class, and the lights just came on, and I said, wait a minute, I can do this. I need to do this. With my communication skills from sales experience, my brand of multiple sclerosis, this is a win-win for everybody, right? Since that time, I've eliminated 23 prescribed medications. I've changed my life completely around as far as being in a bed 18, 20 hours a day. I am now active in my community, taking care of my yard, more active, all the way around. Yeah, I still have MS. Everything still hurts, like we all know what it does, but we all still have value. There is no doubt about it. And
Right.
we all need to find that value.
Sure.
I don't care what it is. If it's multiple sclerosis, if it's picking up trash on the side of the road, that's all value. Find that value.
That's quite correct. Hey, quick question for you, going forward with what you're talking about. How many years ago were you diagnosed?
I was diagnosed October 1st, 1999.
Okay, gotcha. I got you beat by a year. Kristine, you said 2015?
It was 2012.
2012. I got you beat by a lot of years.
Yeah, like Brian, Dr. Brewer suspects it was probably emerging in my teenage years.
Right,
Mhm.
right. That's another story altogether, right? We could all go back to saying when we first started feeling things with this, all right? I was five when it first started happening. All right, that's another story. All right, can you tell us, please, how your work continues these days with the National MS Society? And Kristine, you've been going first the whole time, so now I'm going to ask Brian first. All right, so that he doesn't forget. Okay.
Right, that's right, I forget.
Right. So, Brian, can you tell us what you're still doing with the National MS Society? What is it that you're still doing, and how many people have you impacted by everything that you're doing?
Holy cow. I am still actively involved as a support group team leader, which we have a support group that in this virtual world of ours, we are now have exercise class 3 times a week. We have a little let's chat. We'll just pop online and see how everybody's doing. And then we even have a game day. We've been having movie nights. We're trying to keep everybody connected as much as possible virtually, through all the different platforms that we're all having to learn about. Along with that, I've been asked to form a community council here in Central Illinois that's going to be all part of engaging with our local leaders and fundraising. And I'm also being vetted to sit on the board of trustees up in Chicago. So yeah, it's
Congratulations.
we've been to state action days and talked to all of our good legislators, and in fact, on my trip down to Springfield, I met with Bill Brady, Senator Bill Brady. He's the leader of the Senate here in Illinois. and he made a declaration that March 7th through the 13th is MS Awareness Week in Illinois. So that was a pretty big feather in my hat for my first trip down to State Action Day. What else you want to know, Stuart? My gosh,
I don't know.
I drank the Kool-Aid of the National MS Society, man. I'm involved in it in every way I possibly can.
Well, that's good. It's keeping your day busy. What time do you get up in the morning?
4:30.
Great. What time do you go to sleep at night?
About 8:30.
Well, too early. They need you. They need more of you. You literally get up with the chickens and go to sleep with the hens, huh?
You betcha.
Okay. All right, Kristine, same question for you, please. You remember it?
Oh yeah.
Good.
So officially, as an officer on the board, as secretary, I have, official duties. So when we conduct our board meetings, I take the notes, I have to note when we vote on things, and, I have official, duties like that. Right now I am on the planning committee for our 2021 Georgia chapter MS leadership class. So if anybody out there is in Georgia and you're listening and you would like to be nominated or participate, please let me know. We would love to have you. I'm also captain of our Board of Trustees walk team. And right now we are number 3, I think,
I got you,
for the Atlanta walk for corporate teams. I also helped get Shepherd Center's walk team going again this year, and they are right behind us at number 4. I'm so thrilled to have Shepherd Center join us again. I still serve on the Government Relations Advisory Committee. My chair term was up this session, and we have a great new chair. I'm also looking to serve on our Community Council Committee, and I am looking to get on a patient review research committee because one of my personal loves, I'm a little geeky when it comes to medical stuff, is research. And I kind of view like advocacy and research kind of being 2 sides of the same coin. So
have you contacted iConquer?
Yes, I am a big fan of iConquer MS. I participate in all of the surveys. I encourage all of you out there to go to iConquer MS and participate. It's the easiest way to participate in MS research is to just answer the surveys. They send them to you quarterly, and they use the data to get as much information as they can about MS, how we live, our symptoms, and our DMTs and all of that stuff. And it's a great way to passively participate just by answering these surveys.
That's right. All right, great. Thank you for that. Hey, before we continue with the questions that we put out there, do either one of you have time to do anything else in life other than all this MS stuff? I mean, are you doing anything else? Do you have time to take the dog for a walk? Doesn't sound that way. Kristine, tell me what else you're doing in life. Tell the world what it is that you got going on there.
Well, I got engaged in November.
Oh, congratulations.
Thank you. And so we'll be getting married in September. We just recently moved up to Lake Lanier, so we live on the lake now.
I bet that you did that because he didn't want to tell anybody that he's living on Flowery Lake.
Yeah, Flowery Branch, yeah.
Whatever.
So we have some kayaks, and we like going kayaking. Good. And I do have a dog, and I still volunteer with Labrador Rescue called the Labrador Friends of the South, and I help them with the newsletter and doing some fundraising and gifts for them as well. So
good.
Yeah.
Sounds great. How about you, Brian? Still doing the coin business?
Oh no, no, that's too hard on the body.
How about drinking?
No.
Got it.
Haven't been doing much of that this past year either. My gosh.
Oh my gosh, that's strange. Yeah.
But no, I love the garden. I like to make things grow. We've got a little koi pond that I spend quite a bit of time next to, and watching the fish swim around, and
very relaxing.
Very relaxing. I make a point to stay relaxed. Yes.
Good, great. Anything else?
Just keeping my beautiful bride Cindy happy all the time. That's my number one goal right there, Stuart.
Okay, great.
She stays happy, I stay happy, right?
I'm glad. Maybe. Maybe. I'm not getting into all that stuff, all right?
All right.
So, Kristine, let's go forward a little bit, all right? Yes, we all have multiple sclerosis. Not we all in the whole world, but the three of us all have MS. And what do you do for yourself when you come across times where maybe you're a little symptomatic? I mean, do you jump around all over the place and scream, I think I'm relapsing? Or do you realize that maybe you're not? And how do you deal with it all?
Yeah, that's a good question. And I talk a lot with patients, and that's kind of one of the blessings I look at having this illness is I've met so many people and I meet new people probably weekly. And in my life, I look at now as I almost live it relapsing, remitting, kind of like my disease process, where it's like when I'm up and I feel good, I do a lot. And then when I'm down, it's like I can't do anything. And then I'm up. And so I still struggle with trying to get things a little more even, a little less, this and that and this and that.
Right.
But yeah, in the beginning, when you're first diagnosed, at least for me, it was really hard to know and I think people struggle with a lot is this a relapse? Is this a full-blown relapse? Is this something I have to call about? Is this, do I need steroids? Is this DMT not working? And I think over the years, I've gotten better with listening to my body and my emotions and understanding the changes that are going on that are letting me know maybe I'm doing too much and maybe I need to back off and maybe I need to rest. When old symptoms are returning, is it because I'm overheated? Is it because I'm too stressed? Sometimes I don't know why I'm stressed. I used to waste a lot of time trying to figure out, well, am I stressed? If I am stressed, then what is it? And then what can I do about it? Now I'm just more of letting myself have feelings, letting them come in, and then just maybe sitting with them and be curious about the feelings, and then kind of, letting them go. Which is much easier said than done. But an understanding that for me personally, my physical symptoms really mimic what's going on with me emotionally or, sometimes even cognitively. And so I have to take a step back and kind of look at what's been going on the previous week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, or even a month before what's preceded these symptoms. And if I start flipping back, looking at my calendar going, oh, now I know. I just had 3 weeks of all of this stuff. And that's why it's a signal to tell me, hey, slow down.
So that's what I was going to ask. What do you do? What can you let everybody out there know when your schedule gets to be too demanding and these symptoms are taxing your body? What is it that you're doing? Are you doing a total shutdown? Are you just weaning out things? Or, tell us.
Like, gosh, I did a lot of therapy. And I'll just be honest, for about 6 years with a neuropsychologist about a lot of things. But really it was about self-awareness. And, I was very used to living my life and my career and an hour by hour increment. So I had a meeting 9 to 10, 10 to 11, 11 to 12, and I had to learn not to schedule my life that way anymore. I had to learn how to schedule rest periods. The cognitive therapist was like, "Oh, I see the schedule, but where's your rest break?" I'm like, "What?" I don't know what. But yeah, when I do feel like that, and I know I need time for myself, and I'm introverted by nature. And so which I know people that know me think, what? But I am. And I get more energy by kind of being, alone. And whether that's just reading or just, watching something or sitting in silence or, just doing some puzzles or coloring or just something like that, or maybe just even doing some self-reflection, some journaling helps. And if there are things I can take off my calendar and cancel and move around, I used to not do that. I used to just push through, and I used to just do things anyway, and that's when things would get really bad. But now I don't have any qualms about saying, I need to reschedule this appointment, or, you know what, I can't do this call today, or, I can't make it today. And I know I've disappointed, some people or some commitments, or friends when that's happened before. And I've felt bad about it. But I know there are times where if I just keep pushing, it's not going to end well. And
Nice.
The past few years that I've changed that, it's kept me out of hospital.
Okay. Well, glad to hear all that. Not glad to hear all that, but glad to know that you got an angle on it that you can recognize when you have something coming up. By the way, before I let Brian speak, do you know that people used to say that I was introverted? I knew that would get you all to laugh. All right. All right. So, Brian, your turn. Tell me what you do for yourself when you feel, you're maybe being symptomatic or not. I mean, tell us.
Well, I pretty much, after 21 years now of dealing with this monkey, it's what you should be doing and what you shouldn't be doing by this time, what's going to cause your flare-ups, what's going to cause your, some fatigue or whatever. I'd love to say diet and exercise is what I do all the time, but that's not true. We try, we try, but just keep moving all the time. I have a hard time sitting still. I find that if I'm moving my legs a lot, the numbness and the tingling is not so obvious, but it might seem like I'm having a fit to some people, but when things get really bad, I go to what I use for my symptom management these days is medical cannabis. I use full extract cannabis oil, and that manages all the symptoms that I'm needing to deal with, from bladder issues to pain to muscle spasms to anxiety to fatigue. I mean, geez, guys. Well, you have to use all the tools in your toolbox. You have to find those tools. You have to find your resources, and keep your toolbox in shape all the time. If it's your diet and your exercise, if it's your medicine regime, whatever it may be, find it. Find it. We all have them. It's not like we don't have them. We just need to find what's ours.
Right. No. Thank you for that. this is supposed to be like conversations. I could get involved with this dialogue with you guys too, right? I want to let you know that I with my, I could feel crappy, and I have this New York state of mind that I just tell it to forget about it. All right? Forget about it bothering you. Go on, push. I push through everything. But that's me. All right? I don't expect to hear that from really anybody else. Well, I do, but I don't want to push you all to say that, right? But I just push myself, and I'll push myself until I don't feel the negatives anymore. And if I still push to do other things, then I'm not sitting around thinking about the things that are bothering me. All right. So I push through it all, and I don't let anything stop me. If I know I was supposed to be doing something for the day, I may sit back, and I may have been needing to do it at 11 a.m. Well, it can wait till 1 p.m. All right. I'm going to get to it. So, again, that's just something that I've, had in my life, and I make the best of it that way. And again, what everybody does is good for themselves, but some people do need to hear that, you can push. There's nothing wrong with pushing. If it makes you worse, then you stop. But if it doesn't make you worse and you could forget about whatever's bothering you, then why not push through it and go on to something else? Okay? All right, next. All right, now we're going to get a little bit more interesting. I think that this whole thing has been greatly interesting, all right? But we're going to get into something new here. Kristine, can you please share with us how the pandemic has affected you personally and how it has affected the MS community around you? Brian, you're going to forget this, so I'm going to get to you in a minute, all right? But Kristine, you go first. Keep it a little short, all right? We're running out of time. Got a lot more to go here, so I'm going to start with you first, though, Kristine.
Yeah, personally, in the beginning, I just wasn't sure what to make of it. Then I started realizing this was, pretty serious. And I think, for me personally, my parents, being, just, around 70, it meant, not being able to see them, at the time with being on MS, and I take Ocrevus and IVIG, at the time we weren't really sure what that meant for people like us. Was it if we got it, we would just get sick and be okay, or would we die? We just didn't know. I think there was a lot of fear in the beginning, especially with our community, just with not knowing. So myself, like a lot of people experienced, not being able to see, family, not being able to find toilet paper. I mean, that was a weird one for a long time. Like I wasn't even trying to hoard it. Like we just needed toilet paper.
But you live in the woods. You had plenty of toilet paper.
Right. But and my grandmother, who has passed now, she was in a nursing home, and as she was getting more sick, we couldn't see her, and I'm sure a lot of people experienced a lot of those same things. But as time went on and we learned more about it, I personally really limited myself to going to my monthly infusions, going to really nowhere else unless I had to, and not being around anybody. Really, unless it was just John and I, and John and I had only met in November, and then COVID happened in March. And so the majority, if not all of our relationship has been during COVID. It's a great way to get to know somebody quickly.
Good test.
You can't do all the normal, superficial dating stuff. You know, it was kind of like, yeah.
So you decided to get married instead.
Right. I mean, you're pretty much stuck together and you kind of know how it's going to be pretty quickly, you know?
Yeah. What about the community around you? I mean, how did that, what do you think happened in your local community? Can you tell us about that?
At the time, we were living more in Atlanta, and I mean, there was things that were hard to find. I mean, stores were out of things. It was a very strange time. There were also some of the, riots had happened, looting down the street from where we were. It was a very volatile time. It was a very interesting time. It was a very confusing time.
The patients, sorry to cut you off, but the patients that are in the Atlanta area, did you know a lot of them? I mean, do you know a lot of them?
Oh, yes, I do.
And how were they able to get help from others?
Yeah, so I mean, a lot of feelings of isolation. A lot of what I was hearing at first was, well, now everybody knows what it feels like to live the way we live a lot of the time, which is we're alone. We are isolated. We can't go and do what we want to do when we want to do it because we have mobility issues, or we can't drive, or we have to depend on someone else, or we have financial constraints. And so we can't go and do the things we want to do. And so a lot of the community, that I know, were like, people are complaining about things, but nothing's really changed for us. So there was a lot of irony, that I was hearing from the community. And maybe people will understand now what it's like, for people like us. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. So Brian, tell me about what the pandemic did to you, your family, and your MS community, if you can, please.
Sure. My significant other, Cindy, she's a surgical tech in labor and delivery at the hospital. So every time that she would go to work, I would have a lot of anxiety because, it's always possible that she would come in contact with a COVID patient.
Sure.
And it's always that possibility that would come home to me. So there was that anxiety all the time. COVID also brought an extra added 20 pounds that I did not want to have. And I think the whole world feels that way.
You've been drinking.
But, no, not yet. Not yet.
Just joking. I'm just joking.
The impact on not being able to see parents in assisted living facilities, and that was really hard on Cindy. We didn't really have any issues in our community. It's a pretty close-knit community here in Washington. So there's a lot of rational people here. All the bad stuff happens across the river in Peoria. No, just kidding, guys. I love you over there. I was born and raised in Peoria. But mainly just an inconvenience, Stuart. Kristine hit the nail on the head when MS patients are used to, solitude and avoiding people and avoiding, people-y situations. Like I'm starting to coin that term, people-y, here these days. When there's too many of them around, it's too people-y. Let's get away from all these people-y. But it's I got a lot of COVID projects completed, stuff that was on the list that we've been putting off for this, that, and whatever other fun reasons we could have. Well, I guess we're stuck here. We might as well do our home projects now. But yeah, it was not too bad for us here. I can't really, for us personally, I do know of several MS patients that have gone through COVID, survived. It was an inconvenience, caused a little exacerbations, but for the most part, I kept the candle burning with our support group, and if they wanted to plug into us, we were here for them. We kind of made a commitment to be consistent throughout COVID with our presentations, like you are with MS News and Views, or Views and News, excuse me.
Yeah.
So, yeah, Stuart, I've got a sign on my bathroom wall that when I'm sitting there pondering the problems of the world, I look at this sign and it says, always face toward the sun and the shadows will follow behind.
Very good.
And about that time, I hit that plunger and I leave the bathroom.
It's funny because, I go into certain bathrooms in people's homes and I see the ladies always put up on the walls, make sure you put the seat cover down.
Yeah, be a sweetie and wipe the CD. Is that the one?
Right, that type of stuff. Right. Hey, thank you for those answers, both Kristine and Brian. We still have a few more questions to go and different things, but I want to let everybody know that, the vaccine. I'm not getting into that right now. The pandemic really affected all of us, and a lot of people know that I spent a tremendous amount of time on the road for the years prior, providing educational programs throughout rural America, coast to coast, MS Views and News being there to do things. And so when the world told me that I couldn't go anywhere, I was like, this is not going to work. All right. Really not going to work. When I first heard that something was happening in China, I didn't wait to find out that it was coming to the United States. I got out on Amazon and I got all the N95 masks I was going to need or thought I was going to need. N95, KN95s from Korea. N94s or something like that from Korea. I had gone out and bought boxes of rubber gloves. I went out and got toilet paper and paper towels, lots of it. All right.
That was you.
I was really stocked. I was the hoarder, right? I was really stocked. I have a daughter who actually filled one of her bedrooms with toilet paper. I went in there one day and I said, "Are you freaking kidding me? You got like a 3-year supply here." She goes, "But we have it." We had stocked up like we did for a hurricane. All right. We had gotten a lot of the non-perishables. I live in South Florida and we live with hurricanes. So we have to take care of, ourselves every year for some threat coming through. And we stocked up for a couple of months of what we were going to need, not knowing that, of course, that it was going to be so much longer. The whole world thought it was just something that was going to blow through after a month, right? But going forward, I learned I couldn't sit in my house. And, I have with my video producer that's been on the road with me constantly. He has a production studio in Central Florida. And instead of trying to communicate from the crappy internet in my home, it was better for me to just put on masks and gloves at first, all right, to travel up to Central Florida and come here where I am right now and we do our programs. And the internet is fantastic. So when we do have a program, it's a problem. It's usually because of a bad storm outside or it's somebody else's internet, all right? But I come up here, I'm up here every week. Instead of being on the road, flying all over the United States, I'm here. And this has become my life, to come up here. The hotels in the area that I stay, I walk in the door and Stuart's back, it's great. I have a room waiting for me always at the hotel. So, but I'm up here every week and this has become a way of life for me. And yeah, little by little, we're going to start doing our programs again. And we're starting off in June. We'll be in central Ohio. We're going to get out and start doing the rural areas again. We're going to hit portions of Virginia and the Carolinas and Georgia. I was telling you earlier, Kristine, Dr. Thrower is going to do something with me in northern Georgia. Dr. Legank is waiting for us to get back, Emily Reiser, get back to central and southern Alabama. There are doctors that have spoken for us in the past, all throughout the Carolinas. In Illinois, we're going to get there. I was just telling Brian a little while ago, we're going to bring our show on the road to central Illinois, and we'll get Brian involved with that program. And that's the way of life. That's what we're going to have to do. I have found that, if I live comfortably and secure to the best that I can, that I'm going to fare well through this. And I did. I don't catch colds normally, and I wasn't going to let this thing get to me either. So, going forward, and we're going to talk about vaccines afterwards. And I'm not going to stop from speaking with you all, but I just wanted to share a little bit about what I have been doing as well. Okay. All right. So can you, Brian, you already brought up about tools. All right. Having all these tools in your toolbox. What is your most personal tool that you use for strength and for the challenges that you meet with multiple sclerosis? What do you find is the biggest tool you have?
Oh, attitude.
Great. Glad to hear that one. I'm good on that one.
It's just the attitude of gratitude, brother.
That's
we
right.
gotta keep
That's
on
right.
thinking everything
That's right.
we got, no matter how
That's
big
right.
or how small. Yeah.
Right. Okay, cool. And Kristine, what about you? What are you doing? No.
I think, gosh, it's really staying curious. And I know that may sound weird, but as long as I'm curious, about the world around me, I'm curious about other people, curious about their stories, curious about, myself, why I may be feeling a certain way. Curious about what other people may have to tell me, that could help me, or curious about how I could help somebody else. Then I know that that I'm still living, that my brain is still working, that I still have that want, that need to be curious, and to learn. And, as down as I may get sometimes, because it does happen, I'll still find myself curious about why I'm feeling down and wanting to figure it out. So that curiosity, keeps me going.
Right. Thank you for that. So before I get on to the next one, I want to ask everybody out there, or tell you all again, if you have any questions for anybody here, whether it be for Brian or Kristine, am I saying your name wrong all this time? Yeah? No? Okay. Kristine, several ways to say it, right? If you have any questions for either of them, please type it in. If you have any questions in general, type it in. I see somebody wrote, I don't want to say her name because I don't want to embarrass her, but she was saying something earlier about, my gosh, where did it go? Tell us what you do if you're, if you had a medical problem and part of your body's just not working correctly. How do you go on to do something else, or how do you go on to something else when something that you feel is changed the way that you normally look? And I told her, use your feet. But I don't think that was the right answer for her. So, how do you tell a person, I know this person, so I was able to say that, all right? But how would you tell a person that they feel that MS, all right, is shutting them down from doing everything that they want to do in life? How do you tell a person, how do you give them the yen to go forward? What do you tell them? Let's start with you, Ms. Werner.
So, there was a time back in 2016 where I lost the ability to speak clearly. I sounded like perhaps maybe I'd had a stroke. And also, I was having a lot of trouble walking. One of my legs was really stiff, and the other one I was dragging. I could use a roller walker, but not very well. And they didn't know if my speech would come back. And as somebody who worked their entire career in communications and mentoring people and, organizational change, this speech is really important to me. I talk to patients almost every day. And
How do you get them to,
so I was really devastated. And so I had to really dig deep and think, if my voice stays like this forever, what am I going to do? And, that's what I would say to anybody who loses, an ability due to MS, is that it's hard. And I don't want to take that away from anybody, because we are always grieving a loss with MS. MS takes constantly from us. But, sometimes when we lose something with MS, we also gain a lot, and it may not happen right away. And we have the ability to do other things and to use, other things that we may not have thought of. And so while I didn't have my voice, I was still able to communicate in other ways. And I know that sounds trite, and it didn't happen overnight. And it took me a few months to come to peace with it. And, I don't know if I'm not one to kind of espouse religion or spread religion, but I had to have faith and turn it over also to God, and know that there was a bigger plan for me.
Okay, thank you for that. And Brian, what can you tell us?
Well, I wish I had a words of wisdom for everybody to carry on with them, but it's going to get bad, but it's going to be okay. That's kind of how I look at it. Of course, being the optimist that I am and always facing toward the sunshine, but keep the right attitude. We're going to get beat. It takes, like Kristine was saying, this is not a giving disease. This is a taking disease. And it takes from us. And we have to keep the right mindsets and be conscious of stressors that cause symptoms and exacerbations, and just self-aware, tune in, don't tune out, man. I tuned out for too long. I ended up underneath a rock, and I wasn't going anywhere. But once I tuned back in, the light started shining, and things started happening. Things started getting better. So yeah.
Great, thank you for that. By the way, before I go further, thank you though, Brian. Thank you, Kristine, for those answers. People are commenting that they think you guys are awesome. All right, we're getting people. There's no questions really coming in, but there are people commenting that they are both so awesome. All right, and that was more than one saying that. So I had to tell you guys, okay? And now I woke up everybody else, because now they're all typing also. All right, another person just wrote, I agree. So that's good, and I'm sure we'll hear from others too. All right, so going forward. Hey, again, everybody, the whole point of this is not just to, let them see what they're doing with the National MS Society, but for you to see what they're doing as people themselves and how they're dealing with MS and how they go forward and help other people as well with what it is that they're doing with the National Multiple Sclerosis Society. Okay, so next, how did you two meet? Oh, look, she's got a smile on her face now. There we go. Let's start with Brian.
Starting with me?
Yeah, I'm starting with you.
Okay.
Wow, that's
All right.
shocking, right?
Gosh, Kristine, how did we meet?
I don't know exactly what happened. It was like we connected on social media or
That's what it was.
Facebook, and then
Yeah.
I think I found your site, and then we started talking. We talked on the phone, and then I started helping Brian with his MS Patients Leading Change Facebook page, which is absolutely wonderful. And we wanted to find a way to connect everybody and form different groups under different topics that have to do with MS and what would be useful to people. And part of what I used to do, or what I still do, but is how do you get good information, but all in one place, easily, digestible and broken out into topics that make sense. And so Brian and I enlisted more volunteers, MS patients, to help us organize this. And so we have different subgroups under our page for resources and tools and education, advocacy, fundraising, support.
Peer support. Peer support. Yeah.
Peer support. And we're just adding stuff, constantly, research, and just adding things constantly. And we have people from all over the country, and even some people internationally that have joined, and we're just kind of forming this, community, which has been great. And that's kind of how we met. And then
Right.
we started figuring out we knew some of the same, because I'm like, oh, I have a person for that. And Brian would be like, oh, I know her. And then he'd be like, I have this person. Do you know her? And I'm like, oh, yeah. I was already thinking about her. And,
Right.
and we just wound up knowing all of the same people. And
Right.
yeah.
And
Right.
it's kind of interesting too, Stuart, because what we've done on the peer support side of it is we've kind of married ourselves with another support group in the Carolinas, in North Carolina. CASH, CASH is their Facebook page, and they're a totally private group. I guess I shouldn't have said that out loud, should I? If
Well, if they're
totally
private, they're private, so it doesn't matter.
But anyhow, yeah. And so what I was finding out that, you might get one or two people show up at these support group meetings, but then, these are coming from other groups. So let's pull all of our resources together, guys, and let's start sharing speakers, since we're all doing it virtually and we don't have to travel. It's a matter of just clicking the button and adding those events to our calendars. And I think if the collaboration comes together with more groups and we start sharing this stuff, I don't know if you've gone on to Facebook lately and searched MS support groups, but there's a whole bunch of them doing absolutely nothing. And I don't want the other MS patients out there that were once part of those groups to think it's all over with, right? We got to show them that the lights are still on. So yeah, and it's all about relationships. Together we are stronger. That's the theme, baby. Yeah. So that's what we got to do, is stick together. Yeah.
Great. Thank you for that answer. There's a Michelle. She wrote, positive vibes to all MS warriors. Stay safe and healthy healing prayers. All right. And then somebody else has a question. I'm going to get to Cindy's question in a minute. I want something that very few people know about, and I even forget from time to time too. Way before MS Views and News, and when I was co-facilitating a support group in Miami for 10 years for the National MS Society, before that, I actually had an independent group with the MS Foundation, and we called it Bear With It, growl. And we made everybody growl. You got to come there and bear with it. So that was basically it. But and met a tremendous amount of people from that, do follow us and everything that I've been doing. And before it was MS Views and News, I don't know if you two know about it, but it was called Stu's Views and MS News. And that's where, it still has a following around the country, which is pretty amazing. And yes, I co-facilitated a support group in Miami for 10 years. And it was the only reason why I left that is because when we created MS Views and News. So, we don't do support groups, but we do support groups insofar as that if support groups want us to help advertise what they're doing in the local area, we'll send out an e-blast. If you give us, and that's for anybody listening as well, if you're a support group leader or know somebody and you need help getting the information out about what your group is doing, whether it be now virtually or going forward when you're able to start communicating in person again, if you want me to put out an e-blast into your area about that group, we'll gladly do that. Okay?
Great.
So we know the importance of those groups, whether it be for the patients or the care partners. All right. It's extremely important for the care partners to have, to be able to meet with each other as well. So Cindy's question before I go on to my last two, right? Cindy's question is, do either of you do MS Navigator work? Whoever wants to jump in first.
So I'm quite familiar with our Navigator program. I'm quite proud of the Society's Navigator program. I don't personally do the work, but I have been able to understand the program through my role and understand what we provide. And I would encourage anyone on the call, if you have questions, you need resources, if you have insurance issues, if you need information of any kind, our navigators are highly trained and can help you in just about any area that you need. And it's one of the programs that we have really ramped up and tried to provide more financial resources to, particularly during COVID.
Right.
I don't know, Brian, if there's anything you want to add to that.
Well, I can tell you that after I left that neurologist's office in Oklahoma City and he said, you have multiple sclerosis, I grabbed a brochure from the National MS Society, and that 1-800 number is the one I dialed, and the navigators have been my guide through this whole process the past 20 plus years. So I cannot convey enough how important those navigators are to us all, and not only as patients, but as team leaders. We rely on them all the time to when those questions come to us that are just way over our, what we say, non-pay grades, but that a social worker can handle, that could guide them more. We're just the facilitator to direct MS patients to the navigators. So yeah, they're kind of the, I like to say they're the glue that holds us together, Yeah.
Good. Thank you for that. All right. Next, if somebody wanted to get involved with doing what you all are doing, what do you recommend them to do? You guys are doing so much, so I'm sure that something of everything that you've said tonight, and by the way, everybody, you don't have to remember everything that either one said, because this is being recorded like usual. That's what we do. And it will be on our YouTube channel in just a few days. Okay. And we will let you know when it is, so that way you can get on there and listen to all this again, right? Isn't that what you want to do one night?
That's right. That's right.
All right. All right.
I think there's an entry point for everybody with the society.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And I think it would serve, you all well to maybe kind of do some self-reflection and think about what are the things that really drive you, and what are your passions, and maybe you have a story to tell that might help sway lawmakers for some legislation in your area. And so then maybe advocacy is your jam. Maybe that you're really passionate about fundraising and you're great at getting people to join up in a cause. And so maybe you want to head up a walk team, or maybe you don't want to head it up, but you just want to participate and join a walk team. Or maybe, bike. Maybe you love to bike and you want to join a bike team. We also have do-it-yourself fundraisers. Maybe you want to do a bake sale, or you're really crafty and you want to make some things to sell it to raise money. Maybe you're really like me and you're a little geeky and you like research and you want to become a peer reviewer on some of the research that people are submitting, to get research grants. Maybe you really like to do community outreach like Brian and I do, and you want to find a community council in your area. Maybe you want to be a support group leader, like Brian is. So I think maybe you're in Georgia and you want to join MS leadership class.
Well, now wait a minute. I was just going to recruit them.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many opportunities, and you can be like Brian and I and do them all. I don't know. You don't have to be like Brian and I and just pick one.
Right.
But yeah, I think to have some conversations. I'm sure Brian welcomes them. I welcome them. You can find the person in your area. The market leads, which used to be called chapter presidents, would be happy to speak with you. The website, nmss.org. You can find all the events going on in your area. You can sign up to get emails. You can pick and choose the types of subject matter you want to receive. And, you can get, plugged in that way. And I know Brian and I would love to have you, and any state you live in, I know would love to have you.
Absolutely.
Great. Thank you. Brian, your turn. If there's anything left.
What is left? There is nothing left. We both drank the Kool-Aid. We can be happy to pour you a glass of it and tell you all about it. Yeah, there is so many opportunities at so many different levels. It's just, guys, we've been branded with it. Jump on board with us. This is have some fun with it. Make some noise. Help us make some noise. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you for that. So let me tell you about my thing with the National MS Society. All right. And that is that 6 months after I was first diagnosed, I got involved heavily with the National MS Society. I was asked to chair the Coral Gables in Miami MS Walk, which was the biggest one in the state of Florida. And I knew nothing about chairing a walk. And and I did it, though. I mean, we took our first walk year, and that location had made a total of 87,000 the year prior as the highest number. And me and my walk team, we raised 137 in our first year. So it went forward from there. Thank you. It went forward from there. Our team was called the Hot Shots. Okay, and not because we wanted to be big shots, but because all of us on the team, 5 of us at the time, were all doing Avonex. And after you did the injection, you felt a little warming sensation. So we called ourselves the Hot Shots.
I love it.
And thank you. And I went on to to chair that walk for a total of 5 years. And during that 5 years of doing that walk, I was also asked by the society to chair the Fort Lauderdale walk. So 2 of my 5 years of doing Miami, I was also doing the Fort Lauderdale walk. So that was a lot of work. All right. But not only was I doing that, but I helped to create their MS Health Expo, which later on became the MS Views and News MS Symposium, which is a full day of activities, of learning, breaking out into breakout rooms and doing different things and learning as much as you can. I also worked with the society on being a liaison to the support group leaders all in the South Florida chapter. So, I kept busy and I did all those things because I didn't want to think about what this disease was doing to me. And again, attitude as a frame of mind for me is just to do, and forget about what the disease might be doing. And from early on, I just made the disease live with me and I didn't live the disease. All right. And I tell people that all the time because I think it's really important that people get that kind of mindset. And even if you're feeling crappy one day, do something that you're not going to be reminded of what it is that's ailing you, but do something else. Okay. And like Brian was said, it's just a state of attitude. All right. So I did want to add that in that, there's a tremendous amount that the National MS Society is doing. There's a tremendous amount that the MS Foundation is doing, or the MS Association of America, or other organizations such as MS Views and News. All right. But our topic tonight is not about that. It is about what these two guests are speaking about and what they have been doing for the National MS Society. I applaud them for what they're doing. I honor them for what they're doing. And I hope that you all listening have honored them as well and have been listening to what they're saying. Now I'm going to ask each one last question, all right? And is there one key perspective or takeaway that you could share about living positively with multiple sclerosis? I've already said my piece on this. Now I want to hear about from the two of you. Kristine, you go first. Lady first.
So, yeah.
You're not really thinking about it, are you?
It's really, and some people may roll their eyes when I say this, but MS is a gift that I never expected to receive. I did say that it does take, and it's a disease that does take. But I keep a list of things that it's given me. And sometimes I'll take that out to look at it to remind myself. And the biggest thing it's given me is connections. I never would have met you. I never would have met Brian. And a lot of people that are probably listening tonight, and all of the people I've met throughout the 9 years. And I think my life would have looked very different. I think I still would have been, working probably way too hard and not very smart. And, and I feel that I know now what is important. And every day, I try just to be the best version of myself and hope that I can help somebody living with this, help them be the best version of themselves, or whatever that looks like, for each person individually is different.
Good. Brian, thank you, Kristine. Smile, smile, smile. I need you to smile. Come on, smile. There you go. Brian's smiling the whole night. I mean, I'm having a problem keeping up with him. I smile a lot, but this guy, my gosh.
It's that, I'm telling you, you face toward that sun and those shadows follow behind. It shines all the time. It shines all the time. But give me the question.
That time when Kristine was talking to think about what you were going to say.
Yeah, I know. And I was thinking about what she was saying, and she's right on.
She blew you out of the water. I know.
Blew me out of the water.
She's very good. She's very good.
Gosh.
This is why she's able to do all the things she's doing with the National MS Society.
Right.
She's a thinker and a doer, and it's been great. I loved hearing what she was talking about tonight. I loved hearing both of you, by the way.
Well, it's been a real pleasure being on, and an honor, true honor. I've followed MS Views and News for quite a while, and thought you were a madman for doing all the things that you've done, but you've inspired me to do it too. So yeah,
good.
It's
Wait till I take you on tour with me.
All right. Yeah.
You're not allowed to get tired.
No.
Tired. And fatigue doesn't exist.
Right. Right.
All right. So if you had one key takeaway to tell everybody about, what would you tell them?
Well, 21 years, right? We've been wrestling with this thing, and The MS Society was started over 75 years ago. And in the past 5 years, we have made more progress on stopping this thing than we have in the past 70 years. If that is not a bright, shining light of hope for all of us, my gosh, start coming to my support group meetings.
Yeah, you got to go national with it. That's all.
That's okay, baby. We'll get there. We'll get there.
Good.
Yeah, yeah. And so good things are going to happen. It's not like it was 70 years ago when Sylvia was worrying about her brother. You know, we're talking about 10 years maybe down the road. We're going to see some major advances. I firmly believe that.
Hopefully, yes. Hopefully, yes. And for those that don't know who Sylvia is, Sylvia Lowry is the founder of the National MS Society, all right?
I guess I should have plugged that one.
Well, it's okay. You gave me the opportunity to.
Well, that's what a good co-host does, sets up his host, right?
That's right. That's right. But yeah, so I wanted to thank you both for being here. And,
Thank you. It was a pleasure.
a couple of people asked me to growl. I'm not going to do that because I don't want anybody to get the tingles over it, right? But wow. There you go. All right. So yeah, I wanted to thank you guys for being on here tonight. If anybody, follows what we do have a program happening tomorrow night. I will be right back here again. The board behind me will have changed. That's an LED wall. All right. We will have supporters of tomorrow night's program. And that is, we're doing our MS Advocacy Hub. I am interviewing staff from the Can Do MS Association who are based out of Colorado. I think that everybody that's on here tonight will welcome to be on there tomorrow night, to be on with us tomorrow night and see what's going on. All right. And then next week, I'll be back up here again. We have other programs happening and the list goes on. All right. We're doing, by the way, for everybody that doesn't know, starting in June, we're going to be starting an exercise series as well. We already have physical therapy on Mondays that happen twice a month. Well, we're adding to that. We're adding a Pilates class once a month and a yoga class once a month. All right. And we're doing it all on Mondays, and it's going to be branded Moving Mondays for MS. All right. And it's Moving Mondays for MS by MS Views and News. And that will be something for us to give to the community going forward also. It's a 6-month trial for those two events, Pilates and yoga. Pilates is going to be done by Ria, who we had online a few weeks ago. And the yoga will be handled by Megan Weigel. And I'm sure a lot of you know Megan Weigel. She's a nurse practitioner, a doctor of nurse practitioning out of Jacksonville, Florida. And Megan happens to be an advisor with, on the MS Views and News advisory committee. And we love the way she talks. We asked her to do this. She said yes. And so that's what we'll be doing. Everybody will be able to do it from your homes and not on this channel that we're on now. We will be doing it Zoom. So that way our instructors can see what it is that you all are doing as well. All right. So, and again, we have our MS Hub, the MS Patients Voices series that you heard tonight. We have MS Views Now, which is all about COVID. All right. We have our Compass Care Rural America. We're going to be starting in June doing 11 programs a month. Okay. So it's our channel, guys. Right. And again, I want to thank the two of you for being on here tonight. And I look forward to speaking with you both and working with you both as we go forward. Namaste to you as well. And keep the sun shining behind you or in front of you and watch your shadow behind you. I'm great for that, all right? I go forwards, I walk backwards, I do whatever it is, but I always get to where I got to be, okay?
It's always the news and views, right?
That's what it is, views and news, not news and views, but you got it. All right,
hey,
I want to say thank you. I want to say thank you. Go ahead.
Can you plug MS Patients Leading Change for us, please?
Tell them.
Yeah.
Tell them. Go for it.
Find us on Facebook. MS Patients Leading Change is our public page, and then all of our subgroups below. Please like and follow us, and tell all your friends.
Great. Can you do me a favor? Can you please send that to me as whether it be a JPEG that I can put out onto our various Facebook pages and Twitter and LinkedIn and Instagram, all right? And we will do that for you. So if you get that over to me, we'll make sure to get that republished everywhere, okay? And Kristine, if there's anything that you want us to do as well, just send it on over to us and we'll get it on out as well.
Thank you.
Okay.
And
Fantastic.
everyone, tune in tomorrow night. Brian Thompson from Can Do is fabulous. I've done several Can Do
Awesome.
programs. They're wonderful, and that will be great information.
And Kathy Costello, who used to be with the National MS Society, is the other one will be on. She'll be on as well. So I hope you guys can join us. For everybody that doesn't know or didn't do it already, get registered for tomorrow night's program. Ask your questions in advance. We'll make sure to ask them during the program, okay? And now I'm going to say goodnight to everybody because I got to go eat, okay? I'm starving. Okay. Have a good one, everybody, and thanks
Good
for
night.
joining us tonight.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.